Hi everyone, sorry for the delay due to AP week, but I'm back with my bi-weekly episodes. Welcome to the third episode of Major Conversations, a high schooler's guide to college. In this episode, I'll be talking to Dhriti Goyal, a graduate of the Parsons School of Design, part of the New School in New York City. Dhriti graduated with a major in communication design, and she's also an international student. So if you're interested in going international, this episode could be helpful for you. I hope you enjoy and gain some valuable advice. Hi, Dhriti, how are you?
Hi Sana, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm glad you agreed to be on my podcast today. So before I say anything else, do you want to just introduce yourself, and explain what major you took and what college you attended?
Yes, of course. So I'm Dhriti. I went to Parsons School of Design. I'm from India. I live in New Delhi, and I went in 2019 and just graduated. I majored in communication design, which is basically for the people who don't know, because I myself did not know what I was getting into. But it's basically understanding how humans navigate the world, and it's a lot about like how we use typography, how we use like design in our day-to-day lives, and how design is so integrated in our lives. Like the more seamless design is, the better the design is. And it the 4 years. First year is mainly foundation year, and in that you sort of explore all these different like classes. And in Parsons, like there's really cool classes in during the first year, in terms of we have a class called time. Literally, that's what it's called. And there's another class called sustainable systems. So you get to explore a lot of different like majors, and then sort of decide, because almost like 70 to 80% of people end up changing their major. I also came in as a fine artist and changed my major to communication design once I understood like what it is, and I was really interested in like how in like understanding design better and like adding that another skill to my like skill sets. Yeah.
So you said you changed your major, so why? Why did you change it?
I feel like after researching, fine like people who get into fine arts, it's an amazing degree. However, like people who do it after like graduating, you have to sort of like build your own path for it. I mean, it sounds sort of vague and sounds like, okay, that's like every degree. However, like it's extremely like I feel like it's extremely like self-driven fine arts. And I felt like I wanted to do something after college that I could like get a job like right after college, and understand like the commercial world first, and then kind of like get into like maybe having my own studio or whatever that looks like. But just like having something like just like after graduating, after you spend like a lot of money, after you spend all this time like learning and like understanding this whole these skill sets and like this whole new topic, which is like fine arts, and like exploring like what you're interested in. I didn't want to just like get out and be like, okay, I am a painter and I am just gonna have my own studio and like be on like a freelance basis, or like sort of like that was daunting for me, quite frankly. So I thought like I'm always gonna be a painter. I'm going always gonna have that skill set. Like it's no one can take that away from me. So I thought like why not like go in a direction where I get to learn more things, and just like considering this tech savvy world, I was like, yeah, I want to learn more tech and like understand like where the industry is like leading, and sort of figure that out during my first foundation year, and then see, because the job aspect is like pretty big.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do want to like you there is a sense of like security, there is a sense of like at the age of like 22, a lot of people don't feel that way. A lot of people just want to like write off the like they just want to like get into like whatever they're doing and studying, or like open a business or whatever it is that they don't want to do. But I felt like I wanted to get some job experience and then sort of like see where it goes. So
Yeah.
that's why I like chose communication design. And yeah.
And it was like an easy process of like switching, right? Like,
Oh yeah. So you have like in I think this is true for like most like US universities. I think it's harder and like more rigid in like UK. Um, US is pretty like like pretty easy like once like you have your foundation, which is also like available in like most of the universities. So once you like have that, it's pretty easy to switch your major. You just like let the counselor know, and like there's like a form to fill. You write like a couple of emails, I guess, and that's it. It's like as easy as it is. And I've also heard like a couple of people like change their major in like second year, although there's like a very small percentage of like people who do that because you've already spent like 2 years and then you're also like pushing your degree further. But like thinking about that, it's like the cost that comes with it, like cost and time. So that's it. But the thing is, like, for like high schoolers who are like listening to this, like, it's really you're just like in your early 20s or like literally like the late teen. Yeah, so it's really like not a huge deal. Like whatever you choose to do, I think it's just like it just like comes like it doesn't get to waste, like go to waste basically. Like it just comes like handy, like in whatever you get to like do later in life.
so like speaking about high school, so like were you like did you know in high school that you were always interested in like choosing like arts or like communication, like not communication designs, but like fine arts as your major?
So this is something like I've like talked to a couple of people about this, and it's pretty interesting because I didn't know that. I felt like I just grew up like I always like I've been like every other kid, like we all grew up like drawing and painting, sort of like that was like probably like every kid's like first activity, like, oh, here crayons, like draw, like that's like something so natural. And like after like that's like the first like very basic thing. After that, I had a very like I grew up like my entire childhood like thinking, dreaming about like being an artist. So that's how like my like life sort of spanned out, because I was like, yeah, like I love this thing. Like I love paints. I love like drawing. I love like observation. I love like getting into like precise detailed work. And like it just gave me a really strong sense of like self and like satisfaction. That was like and it became like really important in my life to like have these things. And like it kind of like shaped like how I see the world, because it's like like my observation skills became like really really like fine. And it kind of spanned. It was interesting how it like spanned into like different like like other like parts of my life, not just like observing like like in relationships and like family and like all of these things, and like like jobs and like work ethics, like all of these things. So it's really like about like observing like like the world around me.
Yeah.
So that came really handy. And like so after that, like I grew up in like having this like really strong passion about this like one thing.
Yeah.
And I know like a lot of like and I honestly, like growing up, I thought this was like a pretty like natural thing. I was like, oh, this is my thing. So I always thought like, okay, everyone sort of like has a thing, has like a niche, and like like their purpose and like all of that. So however, like growing up, I feel like I didn't like now, like after graduating, I've had a couple of like chats with people, and I've realized like it's not the same for everyone. It's not like I think majority of the people in fact don't have like a particular passion or like particular thing that they're like super into, and it's all about like figuring that out like over the years, which is like so special, just like so it's like, oh my God, you really have like the entire world on your like for you to explore. So like just go like do anything. But for me, like personally, I kind of like knew
That's
like from the beginning. It's like something that I like dreamt about, something that I like really wanted like from the very start.
and like were your parents always like supportive of doing this? Because I know there's always that like a rumor like, oh, there's no money in art and stuff. And I don't know, like was that something that you had to face, or were your parents like pretty much supportive throughout?
I think my mom has like an artistic, she has like her own boutique, which is basically like her own like clothing line. Um, but so she has like that creative side. So she like understood like where I was coming from. And like my parents like never, even though like for some things like there was always at the back of the head this conversation about like money and like how that was gonna be like, made and like how I was gonna like reach there. But there was never like my parents were always like, yeah, whatever you want to do, go ahead, like do that thing regardless of like if you get money or not. And this obviously is coming from like a privileged like point of view, because it's like I know like I have like my parents like support, and like and like a lot of people like don't, a lot of families like don't, and which very rare people have to like take like all these like loans and stuff for colleges, which is like a factor to consider, because you can't like then it's like, oh, if I'm really passionate about art, however, I don't have the money to go to a school like Parsons, which is obviously really expensive. It's in New York City. So yeah, like it's like, it's like having their back and like understanding like what I want to do like from their side. Like they always saw me how passionate I was about this, and like how like this was like the only thing I saw in my life, really. Like it was like this or like,
Yeah.
sorry, what'd
No,
you
I
say?
was just gonna say, yeah, that good to have like I mean like obviously not everybody knows like what specifically they want to do, but like I feel like if you do like that's it makes it a little bit easier. And like I guess
Yeah.
like art specifically, because I've also had like friends who are interested in art but like their parents are like, oh, like I don't know, because like is that like make the does that make the most sense? But obviously like it's obviously great to have someone who is supportive of that in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like exactly, like you can be really passionate, but like if you don't have that, then it's like, okay, like go do something else. And like it doesn't like then it's like, yeah, then it just becomes like a hobby. But like I feel like I didn't have anything else. Like in terms of I didn't see anything else. So it was just like them seeing my effort in the subject and like in the field. They were just like, yeah, like it also like assured them, like, okay, yeah, like she is like working really hard for this, and like she can potentially can, if she puts in the effort, she can like become something, or like do something in this field. And like I gave them like, it's also a lot about like doing your own research. I feel like it, like if you think about it, like just think about it, like in the world, like there's so many jobs, right? And like everyone's working in every field. It's honestly, it's just about like, and every field has money, and you can also debate that every field like doesn't have money.
Yeah.
It's like people like, it's like it just depends like where you land up like in the field. So I don't think there's like a field which is like, oh, there's no money there. It's
Yeah.
just like how good you are at like any field, basically. So it's like, okay, like, and then it's like doing your own research and like telling them. Like my parents, like my mom started like the whole boutique thing like later in life, when she was like, like a lot older. She had like both her kids, and like my father is like a businessman. He didn't have like any idea of arts. So it's a lot about like me educating them also. Like me like teaching them, or like telling them like, hey, like these are the things that I can do with like art. And like, like, and then at the end of the day, it's also like I've heard a lot of these conversations also. So it's also about like what makes you happy, like you have to like, someone like you're gonna be doing like studying this one subject for the next 4 years. And 4 years, like even though it's a short time, like college, lovely time, like in terms of like it just goes by. So like you really have to like live like every moment of it. But like honestly, like while you're in it, it's 4 years is a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like 2 years just like gone by. Like now that I'm here, graduated, I'm like, oh, college was just like yesterday. It was like yesterday. But it's like you have to study the subject for the next 4 years. So what do you see? Like where do you see yourself? Just
Yeah.
like ask yourself that. And like if you want to do like math, I don't know, like like anything, just see if you can really sit down and study that for like the next like 4 or 5 hours, like every day for the next like 4 years. And if that's really gonna make you happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So like let's talk more about like specifically your experience. So like did you always know that you wanted to, because obviously you're like an international student. So did you always know you wanted to apply in US, and how did you choose the new school?
I see. I applied to like a lot of colleges just because I was like, yeah, like there's no harm in like applying, and I just wanted to, make sure that like I have like a couple of like colleges to like choose from, and to like have that like safety school, then reach, and then like dream. That's how like we divided it. And that's a pretty like standard, I think, like way to do things. And so my safeties were like, honestly, like if you ask me the list, I would not even remember, but I think I applied to like a lot, like I think over like above 10 for sure. Like easily, like I think around 15 or something. But I applied like UK and US, just because like um I think my priority was the course. So I researched like all these colleges and like just like specific courses, and then I understood like, okay, what are they teaching, and like how is this gonna add to like my skills?
Yeah.
And that's how like I was like out of like everything, it's like from the website, like university websites, it's a pretty good like like standpoint, like what from of like what all they're gonna teach you. So just like go there, like check it out, like read everything and like understand, like if you can like talk to like students, current students over there. Then unfortunately I did like see like rankings, and I was like back then it was like a whole thing, like like go to like a good ranked school, which is like honestly like now it really doesn't matter. Like looking back, I've heard people tell me that even though like rankings, like the only thing good that comes off it is the name attached to it, like the brand name, which like the new school sort of gives you, which is true. Like after graduation, it's a lot of like doors open, and it's like you get your foot in just because like they know like, okay, she's a Parsons graduate, and this is the standard of graduates over there.
Mhm.
So that's like very important, and it does like it is like works to your advantage, gets your foot in. However, like a lot of public universities also, this is a private college, university. Public colleges also are have amazing resources, amazing faculties, and it's also really important to like research faculty. I would definitely recommend that. Like look at the faculty, look at like what they're doing, what research they're doing, like yeah, like what research they're doing, and like just understand like how you're gonna like understand like your life. Like, is it like, do you want to party? Do you want to study? Do you want to like have like a wholesome like experience? Like, take all of these things into consideration. Like, it's not just about like, like if what's your goal? I think it depends on like person to person and what their goal is. So, yeah, and basically, yeah, I was gonna say, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but I was gonna say that, um, yeah, like the going back to the public colleges, some of the faculty they're very well connected, so they're gonna get you like guest lectures and like all of these like really amazing people to come in and add to like your thinking, which works like beautifully. So that's also like a thing to like consider.
So for you, was it like when you chose Parsons, like was that like one of like is that how you decided? Like was that like a deciding factor, like the faculty and like your course, I guess?
Yeah, I think I really well, I applied to fine arts first. So I really like the faculty over there and like the work the people like the students were producing over there. That's like student work is also something that I looked at. So out of like all the colleges, I understood like like location very important, right? Like where like I wanted to be, like New York City just seemed like like the artistic creative hub. And it's like even though like the new school doesn't have a campus, I think that's something that like I honestly like compromised on. But it's like the city is your campus, like you just get to do so many things. And um like even though campus life is like a whole different world in itself, and like I don't think like if I honestly do want to experience that like once, that campus life. However, like the city just has so much to offer. You just meet so many people. You just have like all these like crazy experiences, which like is like all worth it. And like so the location was like really important for me, and like the school name was also a factor that I considered,
Yeah,
which
and
looking back, I feel like I shouldn't have, but.
It's yeah. But so I think like one thing that I've heard a lot about is like specifically like how much academics matter in your application. So do you think that it like academics and like standardized testing like the SAT, ACT was important in your application, or like what do you think? Because I know some places now like they've made it optional like taking like a standardized test. So how was it for you? Like
I think, yeah, like you said, like they've made it optional. And I don't think, like, even though I gave the SAT and like I did like put my scores in, I don't think it mattered that much for me, especially because like I was in a creative field. And I think it is important, like, it's if you score well and if you like, if you've done a really great job, like it's just a plus point, But I don't think that's like all there is.
yeah.
So I think what they're honestly like looking at is like which also you can tell by the website. Like you can just like understand the student work, but it'll let you like understand better like what they're looking for. And you can really cater your entire application based on that.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think they're honestly like looking for like the smartest kid in the class. I think they're looking for the most like holistic kid in the class, which has who has like um who's like sensible enough and like like who has like a broad mindset and who's gonna like add to the life at school, like who's gonna add to the university, like the admission, like think about, put yourself in like the like the admission people's like place. And if you're like reading an application, if you go through it, you have to be like, okay, like is this kid gonna be like first of all be able to settle in this college? Second of all, how are they gonna add value to our course?
Yeah.
So these two things are like very important. So like if you see it from that perspective, you have to really like like all these like you can, it's a lot about like how you articulate your thoughts and like how you present that, like the kind of person you present yourself like in the application. Because they don't want to see like they want to see like growth. You can start from like zero, and then you can like always a up like growing graph is like better than a stagnant graph. Like even like an A plus is like oh, it's better to have like a B than go to like a or a C and then go to like an A plus. You know what I'm saying? Like that growth and that graph is like very important. And you can talk about like your growth as a person and like all these things, like which is like I think which is more telling of a person than like, okay, I am the best. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like no one wants to hear like a brag. Like no one wants to hear like a person who's just like going off about themselves.
Yeah.
It's
And
like, are you understanding the world around you?
And for you, like I know like for like fine arts, I don't know if it's just for fine arts, but like you guys have to make a portfolio, right? So do you think that played like a bigger role? Because I know that's like especially different for like your type of major and it's like compared to like a STEM major or something like that.
Yeah, I think it did. So, I guess like academics, you could say like even though I personally feel like I could be wrong, but I personally feel like showing the kind of human being you are in an application is like way more important. On I feel like academics like for other majors must be just like it's just like a tick. Like I know a lot of colleges that don't even consider like students who like apply because like it's like they just consider like all like like above A's or whatever. So like that, yes, academics very important. But I feel like in like people who are like in creative fields, academics, yes, because like I think it's always like it's always just so important to like understand your studies and like just like learning like so much. Like I think school teaches you so much and like just like that's great, right? But I think making a portfolio is the main thing for a creative application. So they understand like, okay, like academics is one thing, but like the creative thinking could be completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way they like make things, the way they like explore their ideas creatively could be completely different.
Let's just quickly join back because I think that it's ending. Okay. Wait. Okay, so coming back, so like let's talk more about like your high school experience because obviously I think it'll be different compared to like what people in America and like schools in America might have been. So did you do any extracurriculars? And like if you did, was it like inside like part of school or outside? And how did you make that connect with your major?
Yeah. I went to a private school over here in New Delhi. And like honestly, like a lot of our school sort of included the extracurriculars in the like curriculum. So if we had like particular hours in the school, like during the school day, to kind of dedicate our time like to extracurriculars, and like outside that, I just had like had a couple of volunteering like
Yeah, that makes sense.
things that I was doing, but like I think it was different because I know you guys have like a lot of like clubs and stuff. Yeah.
I think yeah, it's different. So did you like is there anything you did in summer or was it just like was there anything specific like programs or internships?
I think mainly I just made like for like the application I was working on like volunteering. Like that was something that I was like doing like religiously, and then um outside that honestly like I was just like making a lot of art.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much about it. Yeah, like working on my portfolio, just making stuff. And
How long like what like did the portfolio take you? And was it something that you like had to plan out like a while like a bit in advance? Like was it because I mean it's part of your application, right? But was it like the main thing you had to focus on?
it was the main thing because so I did IB, and that is like in IB like I took visual arts, and that's like a 2 year thing, right? And so basically like all the things that you make in IB can be put in your portfolio. So essentially I was like working on it for 2 years, but obviously there's some things that go in and some don't. And outside that I made like I think like 5 to 6 more projects. And that took me about like I want to say like 4 to 5 months.
Yeah. And
Yeah, just like planning it out and like making stuff.
like when you got in, like obviously now you're like done with your 4 years. So that's obviously like I mean that's like a great like and it was a good school to go to too and you obviously had a good time, hopefully. So like did you enjoy your experience? Like would you recommend it to others? Like in the new
Yeah,
school?
uh-huh. I think it's a great school. I think it's going through some changes currently. And like while we were at it, it was different because I was there during the COVID year. So that was a little, like affected the whole experience. However, I think academically and just like my whole experience was very positive. I would definitely like recommend it to anyone who's like looking to explore like the creative field. I think one great thing about the new school is that it's very like on like it's caught up with like the new technology and like the new trends. So it's like the classes you guys like we had and they offer, they're very in line with like, like AI, like all these like new things that are coming up. So which is great.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
So
yeah, also like a lot about, sorry, didn't want to cut you off, but it's a lot about like the professors you choose. So you could go to college and you could have a really bad experience because you're not choosing the right professors.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's something to consider. Yeah.
Okay. And like I mean this is like where I'll leave it off, like the last question. So what is one piece
Mhm.
of advice you would give Shadrithi in the 11th grade? Like what would you tell her?
I think honestly, like don't be afraid. This is very like art specific, but don't be afraid of the blank canvas, I would feel like. Just make. Like people who are in the creative field, there's like you can make anything, Like and it's a big one because it's like, oh, what do I make? But like just understand, like just figure out like what you're really into and just go for it. And I think taking like risks is something that I would like do more in 11th grade.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Sana. This was great.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this conversation that I had with Dhriti and gained a better understanding of this major and what it requires. Please share this with anyone you think would benefit from hearing this, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.